Hello, Minnesota Timberwolves fans. Welcome into Talkin Twolves. I am super excited to start the brand new 2022-23 season off with my friend Mike Baltz, Talkin T-Wolves, and enjoying a first win of the season against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Mike Baltz, how are
Absolutely.
you tonight?
I'm great. I didn't get to watch most of the game live, which is unfortunate. I have season tickets this year. I sold the ones to the first game because I had to work, but I'm excited. I'm going to be going to my first game Monday against the Spurs.
Nice. You know what? I think that's another win. It's gonna be a fun game to watch. Congratulations on season tickets, and thank you for the final preseason game. I got to take my boy to the Brooklyn Nets preseason game, which was outstanding and super fun. But
You're
hey,
welcome.
tonight's game was outstanding, right? We walk away with a win. It wasn't the prettiest in the second half, but the Wolves came out and we got to see what Carl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert were together. And I'll tell you this, I like what I saw. What were your first impressions from the first game of the season?
Honestly, the thing that I thought about in the first half the most, well, I mean, there's many things, but like the positive thing that I thought about the most in the first half was Cat had like two, maybe three lobs to Gobert for dunks. And I
Yeah,
thought about when we first traded for Gobert and how Chris Finch was like, we had 8 lob dunks last season. 8.
yeah,
And we probably honestly had like 4 or 5 tonight total, but just Cat to Gobert was good for 2 to 3 lob dunks in the first game. That's something that every Timberwolves fan has got to be excited about. Like something a little exciting like that, especially the big to big lob. Like, how often do you think there's probably no stats for this, but like, how often do you think a center has thrown another lob a center twice in the same game?
I think that is going to be a fun stat to maybe keep handy throughout the season because I think we're going to see it a lot. The first quarter, we saw Cat
Yes, please.
toss it to Gobert 2 or 3 times, and they were nice lobs, and it showed exactly what two centers of their caliber can do on the floor together. You know?
Yeah. I mean, my negative takeaway just from game one, it's very small sample size. As we saw tonight, Denver lost to Utah, who is trying to lose to get Victor
Yeah.
Wembanyama. First games are weird. And like when I saw Wolves Twitter, I saw a little bit of that. I was just looking at it. People were very negative when we went down for a while. And even at the end of the game, they're like, we barely beat this team. It's like, what you have to understand is that game one is weird and weird things happen. And young teams that are going to tank, like the Thunder, are trying for 10, 12, 20 games into the season before they start resting their stars, claiming injuries, etc. This is a frisky young team. They want to win. Everyone's healthy, everyone's energized. And so they were going to make a run. But we held through. We got the
Yeah.
victory. And that's something that we're going to have to do for the next 2 weeks when we're playing mostly bad teams and a lot of home games. Like
Yeah.
we're at home a lot early. So we're going to be expected to win. Well, we're kind of like figuring this out because Cat and Gobert didn't really get to play a lot together in the preseason.
You know, you're exactly right. We got some really winnable games here to start the season. The schedule is very favorable for the T Wolves, and you know, taking on the Spurs, all of these teams that are going to tank the Jazz, our next game. Like this is the opportunity to start hot and then maintain some composure and maintain some momentum to get through the tougher games that are to come throughout the season. But we got to have that experience of winning games that the Wolves have uh, not given us in the past. And it was a perfect example of the third quarter tonight, thinking that we were going to let this game get away from us, right?
I
I was
mean,
scared.
It is weird. They said on the broadcast multiple times that we beat the Thunder last year in all 4 games, which is not hard to believe. They were not good last year overall. They've got lots of great pieces. But like the thing is, over the last 5 years or so, we've had numerous very close games with the Thunder, win or loss. I mean, I think of the Wiggins game winner from like half court.
Yeah.
I remember I was actually down in Cabo on a work remote, and that was happening, and it was just crazy. And there's been so many times like that where like we've battled these guys, whether they were better or we were. And it's a division rivalry thing, and it's a little bit like the Wolves have always been this young team who's going to let people back in, not finish the thing. But I think there's much more hope this year. And about like the easy schedule, I saw, did you see what Popovich said? He said something like, do not bet on us to win the NBA championship this year in
Really?
his like preseason presser, which in other words is just code for everybody knows we're tanking for Victor Wembanyama, basically, or Scoot, what's his name?
Yeah.
Um,
His
and we
teammate.
have 3 games, I think, against the Spurs in like the first like 11 games. So that'll give us a chance to hopefully rack up some wins, but also figure out what's working. Because my
Yeah.
number one, maybe negative about tonight, there were a lot of things that we didn't do great. Um, but the number one thing that I see just from like, even when we were doing well in the first half, Finch has got to figure out a way, and I think he's capable of unclogging the paint because with 2 centers on the floor, there's just always 3 guys in the paint.
Yeah.
And it's going to make it hard for Edwards to drive and get the looks that he wants if there's always 3 big guys down in the paint. And so we got to figure out lineups, switching, whether it's keeping Rudy and Cat kind of alternating. 48 minutes a game of all NBA centers. Whatever it is, Finch has got to figure that out so that we can open up that lane a little bit for Edwards. And obviously McDaniels, who was kind of a dunkathon, even when he missed a couple of them,
Yeah.
uh, he looked real good. You can tell he's got way more confidence on offense, and hopefully that keeps growing.
Uh, McDaniels is a good player. Played really excellent tonight, and you're exactly right. He had like 3 dunks that didn't count because of an offensive foul. He elbowed what's his name to the chin, really good, or right on the nose. But he threw it down tonight with some ferocity, and he definitely showed that he's not afraid to go to the hoop or to spot up and shoot that corner 3. He played really well tonight. He's the player, in my opinion. He is the player this year that he's the starter. He's gonna start. There's no more in and out. Is he a bench player or not? McDaniels is our starter. He is a defensive stopper who also has offensive capability that he's going to unleash this year. And I'm excited. And I thought we saw a glimpse of it tonight.
Yeah, I think 9 out of 10 games, he's going to be guarding the lead person guarding their best player.
Yeah.
I think that there's going to be some times when we use Edwards when we need a little more strength. Like I could imagine a world where when we play Zion, Zion is probably guarded by Edwards at least like as they
Mhm.
dribble up. Because I think that one thing that the only thing that McDaniels is going to struggle with is a player who's just brute force
Yeah.
because he doesn't quite have the muscle. He's
No.
more muscular than he looks, but he's not quite Zion, right?
He has the length, but against a bigger opponent, he doesn't have the ability to stop them or put the body that needs to be done. Yeah.
And to be fair, who has the body to stop Zion? But if you're
Right.
going to come up with something close, it's probably Anthony Edwards, who's put
Mhm.
on a little muscle and and wants it. He wants to play against the best young players in the league and say like, "Hey, I'm up there with you or better."
Yeah, Anthony Edwards definitely wants to be that defensive stopper and guard the best player every night. And he has been. I wouldn't shy away. I think Anthony Edwards tonight in the first game of the season, definitely had a quiet game. But I don't think it was a disappointment. He just didn't get some baskets to drop. He still made some really nice cuts to the basket. He played off Gobert very well tonight, I think. Gobert set some, he takes up a lot of space on the court and he creates
Mhm.
space for Anthony Edwards to operate. What I
Yeah, we
did, oh, go ahead.
no. Oh, I was gonna say, they didn't run the screen with him and D'Lo, or sorry, Gobert and D'Lo, or Gobert and Edwards as much as I thought. Now, I didn't get to watch the entire game, so it's possible that there was a little more than I thought later on or whatever. But from what I saw, it wasn't run as much, and like to me, that's like a go-to easy option because we need to get Gobert and his defender kind of out of the paint as much as possible. And then,
Yeah.
and then run something like a pick and roll on the other side with Cat and D'Lo or Edwards, whoever's not in it. But yeah, gotta unclog that paint. I think the second thing, I have a little list that like I wrote down. The other thing for me is like this. The second thing that I really noticed was we were really trying successfully, especially early on, to get Gobert going on offense.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that'll continue throughout the whole season, but to me, it's a little weird to be like, we're so Gobert centric for like the first quarter, and it worked against this team. I don't know if it'll always work. We were really trying to get Gobert going on offense, which is not really what he's here for. I don't mind if he's going to get 16, 18 points a game. Great. That
Mm-hmm.
sounds awesome. But it felt like a little forced early on. And, everything is small sample size after one game. So we'll have to see how it goes from here on out. And I think that Rudy is older and probably ready to just be part of a winning team. But in the second half, when the same kind of thing was happening, he was missing or, not even getting the foul. And if he's going to be force fed by the basket, he needs to be 80% success rate. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like he needs to be like always punishing, especially with the Thunder, who have no one his size or even close. Like if they had Chet Holmgren tonight, that would be a different thing. But with the guys that were playing against him, if he's getting the ball within 6 feet of the hoop, he needs to be punishing them always.
Yeah.
And it's game one. So
It was game one. I did see them. I did notice them kind of forcing Gobert offensively when Cat was out of the game. When Cat was in the game at the beginning of the game, it was Cat making the right pass to Gobert on the cut, on the lob, the swing pass.
absolutely.
But when Cat wasn't in the game, Gobert I thought was an offensive focal point, which I didn't really expect. I thought Anthony Edwards would really take over the time that Cat wasn't on the floor and Gobert was, and they were on the floor together. But um, Gobert was a delight, I think, tonight offensively and the rebounds. But I mean, he led the team in scoring, led them in rebounds, which is what you want from your all defensive center, right? Um,
Yeah.
and
So
Cat
yeah.
Cat
Oh, go
made the
ahead.
right passes. Cat made the right passes and wasn't offensively as dominant as we would have wanted. But I think he didn't have to be tonight.
Yeah. I think the Edwards thing tonight was kind of goes back to what I was saying. We're like, we need to unclog the paint first. We need to
Mm-hmm.
get whatever we need to do, figure that out. Because, and I do think that, it's game one. He's going to come around. Like, he's always been kind of a streaky shooter.
Yeah.
All reports from camp are that he's improved, and he improved from season one to season two. So there's no reason to think that he can't improve in year three. But there's so many bodies down there that every time he was going at the basket, it was almost like, Ant, there's no room down there.
Yeah.
Where are you gonna go? And sometimes he actually made it, especially the first quarter, he was looking really good.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, it kind of like slowed down. He hit those early threes, and when Ant hits early threes, sometimes it's a blessing and a curse because then he wants to take them, and then all of a sudden he's jacking up the bad ones. But like tonight in the first quarter, I think he had 2 catch and shoot threes, which he
Yeah.
shoots way above average.
Mhm.
And if we can get him those, like he can really like, I mean, he could go for a scoring title. Probably not this year, but maybe soon.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely is that scorer mentality. He didn't drive to the basket as much as I would have liked to have seen him do tonight. There wasn't that ant moment where he was going to have that explosive dunk. He had a couple really good layups and drives to the basket, but not as many as we're accustomed to. Uh, but yeah, disappointing night overall for Anthony Edwards, but not discouraging, right?
No, I mean he came out the gate hot. He slowed down after that. He had that amazing fast break bounce pass to Jordan McLaughlin, where he like
Yep.
did a
Yeah.
bounce pass, like a 40-foot bounce pass between like 3 guys.
Yeah.
Amazing. But I think that Garrett, this show needs more segments, and I would like to introduce a new segment
All
called the
right.
Stat of the Night.
Stat of the night. Stat of the
How do
night.
you feel about that? We can workshop the name. We'll
Stat of the
workshop it.
night. Yeah.
Stat of the
Okay.
night. All right, this is what I got for you. I saw this. This is a tweet. I can't remember or give credit to anyone because I was just scrolling.
All right.
But for all those who laughed at the Rudy Gobert trade, the stat of the night is with Rudy Gobert on the court, the Thunder scored 84.8 points per 100 possessions. With Rudy Gobert off the court, the Thunder scored 141 points per 100 possessions. That is why we brought in the defensive player of the year, the all
Yeah.
defensive guy. And honestly, I think there's room to grow on defense. My third big call out of the game was like, especially early, but even throughout the game, we got to figure out these 3-point rotations. They had. I would love to see the stats, but I would be willing to guess that the Thunder had more open 3-pointers, no defender within 6 feet of them tonight than any other game in this league, any other team in any other game for like opening night. Because they had to have at least 18 just open threes, no one near them.
Yeah.
And
But
we
how
got to
many of
figure out
those
that
open
rotation.
threes did they miss tonight? Because they were missing shots left and right, and nobody
Yeah,
made more
that's
than 2 3-pointers in the whole team. I mean, yeah.
for sure. But can you do that against Golden State? Can you do
No.
that against the Clippers? The Clippers, like everybody thinks of them as this big defensive machine, but they got a bunch of guys that can shoot league average or better in 3. And if you're giving it to them wide open,
Yeah.
they're gonna punish us. So that's got to be cleaned up. We got to unclog the paint, and then Garrett. After that, we just go 82-0.
82-0. I see.
82-0.
Unclog the paint. Clean up the perimeter, 3-point shot
Mm-hmm.
defense, and
Mm-hmm.
82-0. I get it. All right. I can see
That's
that.
it.
I'm gonna
That's what
write.
I see for the rest of the season. Just
Ah, I
clear
get
that
it.
paint. Give
Um,
Ant a runway, man.
yep. Well, they got one win under the belt, 81 more wins to go. Hey, I think that it was a good start to the season. What were you most impressed with, or uh, not impressed, but surprised by the first game? Was there a player that jumped out that they got the most minutes? Was there a player that outplayed your your ideas about what they could be in the first game? Is there anything that jumped out at you from the?
Yeah. I mean, his stat line, we kind of touched on it, but like his stat line was great. But more than that, the eye test on Jaden McDaniels, just his confidence on offense. Like I knew
Yeah,
he could play D. I didn't look up. I don't know if you have on your stats how many fouls he got because he's always had fouling problems.
you only had one.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah,
So to me, that's kind of what I thought. I thought he had like 1, 2 fouls,
here's the box
but
score of the night's game. I mean, he didn't have a terrible night. He had
yeah,
19 points, one personal foul, 2 blocks, 3 steals, 3 assists.
that's a really good night. That'll
Six
win you your
rebounds.
fantasy
He
basketball
got six
championship.
rebounds. Yeah. He's
Like
filling up that
he
box score.
but like yeah, that is amazing on its own. Like that is a great box score for your technically fifth best player or whatever, you know what I mean? But like beyond that, just his confidence and offense, even like when he would try to dunk on the guy and hurt, I can't remember what his name is, Williams, maybe from the Thunder.
Oh
And
yeah.
it wasn't his
Oh
fault. He kind of came down with the
no,
elbow
he
as he was
he
dunking.
he threw it down with force, and you
Yeah.
know what? He can do that.
So, but just his confidence, because like I honestly thought he could have 6 more points, but he was definitely when Jaden drove the last 2 seasons, you kind of just saw this hesitancy, like he didn't know what he was doing most
Mhm.
times. And tonight he felt like he was ready.
Well, he proved it this summer. I mean, remember? I don't know if you had read anything from
The 52
the
pointer,
yeah, the 52 pointer pro am or whatever it
hell
was.
yeah.
Was that out in Washington or Portland for Crawford's
I think
tournament?
it's
I don't know.
Washington. It's definitely yeah, it's Washington is where the crossover
Yeah.
is.
So
His like
like
pro am.
yeah, like he's an offensive player. He can be a point scorer, and his defensive abilities are just the icing on the cake. But right now, that's what he's known for. He needs to show us that he can be the offensive player to Anthony Edwards and Carl
Yeah.
Anthony Towns.
Well, I mean, I think they were talking about it on the broadcast how Rudy Gobert, like the amazing thing about him, because even if you're defensive player of the year, all defense, a lot of times those guys end up having more fouls than average. But Rudy Gobert is kind of an outlier because he's been defensive player of the year and he'll average like 1 foul a game, 2 fouls a game,
Yeah,
which is pretty impressive, especially when you're working on the block down there. And if we can get Jaden to under 3 fouls a game, hell, under 4 fouls a game after last season, that's a big difference. That's going to be the difference in like 2 wins a game. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
or 2 wins a season. Uh, if he can just keep the fouling down, and then if he can be this positive on offense, because there's going to be nights where there's more veteran teams that are going to be able to lock down Cat and Ant or one of the two, D'Lo, whatever. And we need that guy that's like, hey, because when he's out there with the starters, he's our fifth best player,
yeah,
at least going into the season. So that means that whoever they have that's bad on defense, it's a good chance that he's guarding Jaden McDaniels.
yeah,
We can exploit that. And if he has the ability to dribble, then we don't even have to set him a screen. It's just like, hey, Jaden, you've got the worst defender on their team on you. Take it to the basket, make something happen. And
yeah,
hopefully it's just the beginning of many, 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 many more Jaden McDaniels dunks.
yeah. Let's talk about our bench. I thought Chris Finch's rotation tonight was pretty spot on with what I thought would happen.
For
Um,
sure.
Jordan McLaughlin only played about just over 10 minutes in the game. Jalen Noel played more minutes as the backup point guard or ball handler, even
Mm-hmm.
though D'Lo was still in the game, I think. But
Yeah.
the player that came off the bench in the first game tonight that made the biggest difference was Torian Prince, man. He had an unbelievable start to the game
Started
and
off 3 for
really
3 from 3.
4 for 4.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think he was 4 for 4. His
You
first
might be
shot
right.
was a 2 pointer, or maybe he mixed a 2 pointer in there, but he was perfect from the 3 point line. And yeah, he was on fire tonight. I was impressed with Torian Prince to start the game and really throughout the whole game.
I mean, he was also just like, I don't know if his like stats jump off the page or anything like that, but like he was rebounding. Even when he didn't get the rebound, you could see him in there trying to rebound, which was a big problem for us last year.
Hmm.
And yeah, Gobert's going to help with that. Kyle Anderson's going to definitely help with that. He's pretty good at that. But like we need everyone to be rebounding. Like we have the bodies and the size this season to just clean up on the boards, to
Yeah.
destroy people on the boards. And it's nice to have players like Torian who can do that and occasionally give you a game where they're going to pop for 12, 20 points because they're hot on fire from three. For me, uh, what I like about JMac, and this is kind of going back to starters versus, it's going to make you think that I don't like D'Lo, which is not the case. I think D'Lo is like the coolest guy. I hope that he earns an extension with us because it's going to be hard for us to get a different point guard.
Hmm.
But one thing that I was like, I wrote down too is D'Lo slows down the pace, and Finch does not want that. I like everything you hear him say. He wants us to push the pace. He wants us to
Yeah.
be fast.
He wants us to
And
play
when
free and open.
yeah, but D'Lo will dribble it up, and like their defense is still getting set, and then he'll pull it back and start just dribbling the ball into the ground. And Finch is just kind of like, why are we paying this guy 25 million or whatever it is a year? Like go. Their defense isn't set, just go. And the difference between that and JMac, who is not as talented in a lot of ways as D'Lo, but when JMac dribbles that ball up the floor, as soon as he gets to that 3-point line or even sooner, he's moving that ball. It's
Yeah.
going to somebody. And that's the kind of offense that Finch wants, which is shown in the fact that time and time again, even when we have two or more ball handlers on the team, he's the one who's going to get those cleanup minutes because he gets the ball down and starts making things happen. He gets his teammates moving around. And it's also been shown that he has chemistry with Nas,
Yeah.
which is a thing we could talk about.
Yeah.
How many minutes did Nas have tonight?
The same as D'Lo's jersey number.
That's a good point. And I think that's going to be the case maybe until one of Cat and Gobert get hurt. But he definitely showed everything
Hmm.
in preseason. And I don't think he's a perfect defender yet, but he looked a lot better and clearly has put the work in. So it's going to be interesting to see how that happens. Finch is known to be a coach that like he'll start you in this game and then he'll start someone else in the next game. I think our starters are more locked this season. But as far as the bench, he might look to rotate in Nas more than Kyle Anderson against a certain type of team. Like I honestly think in the third quarter tonight, we could have used Nas. And that is something that last year you would never have heard me say.
Yeah. I thought in the third quarter too, I would have liked to have seen Nas Reed come into the game. I kind of understand why they didn't bring him in the game just because Oklahoma City doesn't have a big center that would necessitate somebody like Nas Reed after Gobert and Catter have already been in the game.
Sure. I mean, on paper, everything's different. I just feel like, you got to move. I saw some tweets after the game that, like, during that third quarter, the fans in the stands were booing, which is very typical Minnesota. Like, I bet half the crowd there tonight, half the crowd there is the people that have been going to the half full stadiums for 10, 20 years. And the other half is people who got excited because we made the playoffs last year and are at their second Timberwolves game in 10 years.
Yeah.
And so they start booing when they see this stuff. But at the same time, they might be a little bit right. I do think Finch tries to hold on to stuff. He tries to like use the I can't pull my guy right now. That's going to hurt his confidence next game or, the rest of the season. And sometimes you got to do it. You got to switch it up. Like this clearly isn't working because they went on that 27-5, 27-3 stretch in
Yeah.
that third quarter where it's like something's got to give. And sometimes having a player like Nas that can just put pressure on as your third, fourth option, technically, Nas, everybody, we've all seen it even when he wasn't as good the last couple of years. Like he's gone on those runs where like in a quarter, he's got 12, 15 points. And I don't know, something about that moment was like, I want to see that preseason Nas just take these guys down.
No, I would agree that in the third quarter when we were losing points, nobody could make a shot. We were just out of sorts in that third quarter when the lead dwindled. We could have used somebody like Nas. Uh, Finch put in Kyle Anderson, and I think that showed his confidence in Kyle Anderson to fill that role and kind of right the ship. And I think he did that as far as running an offense through him. But
Mhm.
that was to end the third quarter where you let the lead up. It
I
was,
I I love Kyle Anderson. I mean,
yeah.
I've talked to you, but like I love that signing more than anyone.
Oh, it's
Um,
a phenomenal signing, underrated free agent signing of the year.
I think that in 82 games and playoffs, there's going to be a game or two maybe where I'm mad at Kyle Anderson for whatever reason. But in general, he's just a guy who's going to take what he gets, run in the flow of the offense, play defense, rebound. He's just that guy. And I really want sometime, if we ever should get just up by 28 points against a bad team, I want to see us just play a super big lineup because Kyle Anderson slow mo, as
Yeah.
we like to call him,
He likes to call
he
himself.
can play the point.
Yeah.
He has those skills, and I want to just see Finch at one point just toy like, okay, that's it. We're just gonna play Kyle Anderson at the point. We're gonna play Nas at shooting guard. We're gonna play Cat Gobert. Whatever. Just
Yeah.
completely.
McDaniels.
I want to see a starting lineup that is average size 6'11".
Yeah.
Not a
Hey,
starting lineup, but.
everyone on the court has a wingspan of 7 feet.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Everybody crash the boards. We will literally have a 20-0 rebounding advantage in this quarter.
No, the Kyle Anderson signing and having him to being able to come off the bench is a huge. He is the huge part to this team, and it is gonna. He played great tonight. I'm excited that Chris Finch trusts him and has given him the minutes, and it is exactly the type of veteran that the bench needs. Slow mo. He's
Mm-hmm.
not looking for a shot, but when everybody else is moving fast, he's moving slow and he's going to finish that basket.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, I got to look this up to make sure that I'm correct, but I was like looking at the box scores of all the games.
Uh huh.
And let me just see here. Yep, here we go. So Memphis won tonight, barely. But you look at their bench now. Well, first off, tell me if you can tell me before looking it up who Memphis started at power forward tonight. I'll give you $20 if you can do it.
Wouldn't it have been Jackson?
No,
Is he their center?
I think
I
he's
thought.
hurt.
Oh,
But still, if Jackson
Clark.
was hurt last season, who would start at power forward?
Clark. What's his name?
Or Kyle Anderson.
Kyle Anderson was on the
Tonight
Timberwolves
they
tonight.
started something called Santi Aldama.
Santi Aldama.
Mm-hmm.
That guy
So
kicks butt.
yeah, exactly. And my point is, not only did we sign Kyle Anderson, but we also took Kyle Anderson away from the team that beat us in the playoffs last year.
With Kyle Anderson.
Mm-hmm. And they also in the pregame were showing off the new players and like acquisitions in the montage.
Yeah.
And the Gobert part of the montage was a slow motion clip of him two-handed blocking John Morant at the rim. Another thing we could have used last year in the playoffs.
Yeah. Well,
And that's big.
yeah.
We have a rivalry with them now that could last a couple years because we're both younger teams in general. And we're going to maybe see them in the playoffs for a couple years.
I
I
think
hope
this.
we see them in the playoffs this year. I
I
hope we beat them.
Yeah, I hope that they're the team that we have to beat to go to the Western Conference, the finals, anything. They're the team I want to beat. I think they are the up and coming team. But
100%.
I will say that I think the Wolves, depth wise, team wise, are a far superior team than Memphis. And I'm not trying to be a homer, but I'm gonna come off as it. I think the Wolves are far superior, man. You have
We should have
depth.
beat them
You
last year.
Yes, we should have. I think last year's losses had a lot to do with Carl Anthony Towns playing like garbage in the playoffs, especially the first couple games, and
And
everything that
Edwards going
happened
for the
next.
steal.
Yes, it's bad luck, it's bad play, and it has to learn from it. But from a team perspective, I think the Wolves right now this year have a much better team than Memphis. But Ja Morant, I give that guy 100% of the credit. He's a baller. He
He's
can,
great.
yeah. I wouldn't count him out of anything.
I might have said something on one of Talkin Twolves last year about the
Yeah.
fact that Memphis was technically better, had a better record in the 28 games that John Morant missed last season. But the thing is, when you get to the playoffs, you need a guy that can just get a bucket. And that's what he does. And
Hmm.
that's what Anthony Edwards does for us. When he got to the playoffs, he increased his scoring average. He increased his three-point efficiency, which is not something that second-year players do.
Yeah.
And or I think Morant. Wait, did Morant? Is he the same draft? No, he was a year earlier, right?
Uh, a year earlier than Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, a year earlier. He was the
So
same draft as Zion.
yep. So we're talking. Yeah, that's right. So we're talking like 2-3 year players here, Edwards and Morant, and they showed out in the playoffs. But you need those guys that can do it. And when you look at regular season, that's why the conversation around the Wolves has been like Gobert can't do in the playoffs. But like I was listening to the Zach Lowe podcast with
Yeah.
Jeff Van Gundy, and they were both talking about the fact that like all the defenders surrounding Gobert and those Utah teams were absolutely just turnstile terrible players. And now we have Anthony Edwards, who can play great on ball defense, still needs to work on his off ball defense. Jaden McDaniels, D'Lo, who's a decent quarterback on D, surprisingly. We got Torian. We got players.
We
Like
got
we
players.
just need Gobert back there. And like, hey, what was the stat of the night? They score 81 points per 100 when Gobert's in the floor, 141 points per 100, which I hope we tighten up
Heck yeah.
when he's off the floor. And that's it, man. That's the breakdown right there. That's why we're paying him 44 million or whatever.
Yeah. Well, he is a big game changer. He led the team in scoring, led the team in rebounding, led the team in blocks. Kind of, not really, I guess.
Ooh, I got to show you something. If I don't know if this is gonna come through on the camera right now
Oh, what
because I'm
is
in the
it?
skyline, but this is my new
Are you gonna take
sweatshirt.
your shirt off?
Yeah,
Small ball is dead. Oh,
yeah,
sweet.
yeah.
What are we
Exactly.
calling it? Are you calling it Twin Peaks? I think they called it Twin Peaks on the broadcast tonight.
I mean, I love Twin Peaks, the show, so that's not. It wouldn't be terrible if that was the name. Northern Heights is cool, but Northern Heights just doesn't sound cool.
Yeah.
Like the same guy who made that sweatshirt, his name is Jake's Graphs. So look him up on Twitter or Instagram, Jake's Graphs. He makes really cool stuff. Um, but like that's my plug. I'm trying
All
to get
right.
us some money into the
Hey,
pot.
I like it. Jake Scraps.
Jake's Graphs. But he has some Northern Heights shirts that are really cool too that I almost bought. But I still don't think the nickname Northern Heights is that cool. I would prefer Twin Peaks. I would prefer Target Centers. I like Target Centers.
I
I
like
think there's a
Target
lot you could do with
centers.
that. Like you
Like
could
you're
do
giving too
Target.
much power to Target, the corporation, though.
Nah, you can change that. It's that. That's nothing, man.
What do you think about this? This is my idea. I've been throwing this around. Power towers.
I'm fine with it. That sounds tough.
It's tough.
Northern Heights just doesn't sound tough. I get it. It's a fun pun. It just doesn't sound tough. Like small ball is dead. You could just call him that, and I'd be happy.
Small ball is dead.
Small ball is dead.
Rudy
Let's play
Gobert,
the big
Carl
one.
Anthony Towns.
Kyle
Small
Anderson
ball
at the
is
point.
yeah.
Let's run it.
Jaden McDaniels, Nasri.
That's the biggest lineup.
It's
I
the
mean, like,
biggest lineup.
what would they do? Good luck.
Good
I'm
luck.
really excited for games like Philly, where they got Joel Embiid,
Yep.
and he's gonna try to guard Cat solo. I mean, maybe we'll see what happens. Um, games like that where now we have Rudy, and so it's like everybody's freaking out about Cat guarding on the perimeter. It's like there's going to be a game or two where we get beat this year because Cat's man is running circles because Cat's man is 50 pounds lighter and 5 inches shorter. But like most of the time, those guys that Cat's going to be guarding are going to be shooting 31% from three.
Yeah.
It's not really going to matter. But I think that if we can figure out this offense and unclare that paint, it's going to be big.
No, they're on a good trajectory. I loved seeing Cat and Rudy Gobert play well together tonight, to mesh together tonight, get some lob passes, show the league what the capabilities of having two 7-foot players out on the floor together can be. And tonight we got a little glimpse of that, and I think there's more to come. It's gonna be
Absolutely.
exciting.
No, it's gonna be great. Are you going to the Utah game?
I'd love to. I don't think I'll be in town for that. I have to go out of town for work again next week, so I'll be gone. But I'll
The
definitely
return
be
of Jared
watching.
Vanderbilt, man.
Yes, I
I
hope
don't know if I'm gonna
Vanderbilt.
go, if I'm gonna end up giving out these tickets, but I kind of want to just go downtown and just see if I can give Jared Vanderbilt a hug because
Heck
I do
yeah!
feel bad. I felt bad, he gave his heart and soul for us, but it's a business. It was a necessary thing. Hopefully, he doesn't hate us.
I don't think he hates us. I'm sure he understands the business of it. And you have to look at it this
He
way:
might hate us.
how many guys has Tim Connolly brought back from Denver? Vanderbilt was a Denver guy. You think Utah's going to hold on to him like he's a centerpiece of their deal? No. In a year or two, I could see Vanderbilt make his way back here as a bench player, as a guy
I
who
mean,
knows the system.
the one thing is, it would probably have to be a buyout candidate like later on, and there's going to be other suitors because by all optics at this point, Danny Ainge is only trading Jared Vanderbilt for like at least a
Picks.
couple second round draft picks, if not a first.
Yeah.
Like that's what he wants. And Vando's probably not a first, but
No.
he's close if you're the right team. And if I'm Danny Ainge, I'm looking at teams that are like on the cusp and just need that energy guy, rebounds, defense. And he's going to float it and be like, hey, give me your first round pick in 2025 and Vanderbilt's all yours.
Yeah.
Throw me some fat guy. Here's the thing, Utah won tonight.
Yeah.
Utah beat a very good team, a team that could win the NBA Finals, the Denver Nuggets. They are going to have to lose. Their goal is to lose this year,
Yeah.
which means he's either got to trade players or they got to sit them for the whole season. And when you sit players and say that they're injured, it makes them harder to trade next season. Because then, I'm sure there's a lot of backdoor stuff where he's going to go to them and be like, look, Vanderbilt wasn't hurt. We just wanted to lose. You know the game. But at the same time, they're going to be a little suspicious, right? So, yeah, who knows? I don't know. It'll be curious. I'm watching D'Lo. I want to see a little bit better from D'Lo than I did tonight. And not just shot making. I just want to see him work within Finch's offense because I really think he's capable of it. And there's a couple good moments when he got in the pick and roll with Rudy, but like I want to see more of it because we need that guy to work.
Yeah, I agree. I think that D'Lo missed some open threes tonight. He put up some shots, 3-pointers that's what you live and die with. D'Angelo Russell, is he going to put up the threes when he sees them? But if they don't drop and he's cold, you're in trouble. That's what we saw last year. I'm hoping that it's not the same thing as this year, but
All right.
yeah,
So I got a question for you. You were pitching
yeah,
this to me right before we started. I think the over under on the year is 48 and a half.
huh?
What is your prediction, sir?
I am gonna say I would take the over set at 52.
I was going to say 53.
Yeah.
So we got a clear dividing line if we
Well,
want to go over under.
all right. I'll
Just
take the
saying.
under. I mean, I want to be optimistic, but I think 52 wins is where the team would be. 53, it's gonna be, I'll take the under for the sport of it.
All right. So we're at the beginning of the season. I'm going to put you on the spot here. How about if it's 53 or over, you have to pay for beer and food when we go to a bar and watch a playoff game.
All right.
If it's the opposite, I have to pay.
All right. Sounds good.
Because I'll tell you what, we got in the playoffs for the first time in a while last year, and I got to enjoy one playoff game at a bar, the first playoff game against Memphis. There's fans here. It was
Yeah.
loud. Everyone there was wearing Timberwolves stuff. So hopefully we get to enjoy that atmosphere this year.
I hope we will. I think we will.
With
Fingers
53
crossed.
or more wins.
I mean, I should have said 82. I guess I should have taken the over. Based on
83, I
tonight.
think. You should
80
take an 83, probably.
I'm gonna take 82 over.
All right, good.
And worth it.
Perfect. So you have one possible chance of winning.
Yeah, that'll be good. All
First
right,
82-0 team.
82 and 0.
Target centers Northern Heights.
Northern Heights, Power Towers.
Small ball is dead.
Small ball is dead. I think that's a good nickname.
Oh, Clippers, you got a bunch of 6'7" guys that can play defense. That's great. Our whole starting lineup is 7 feet.
Yeah, good
Good
luck. Good luck. Bolts, until next time, I appreciate it. This was fun, man. Go Wolves. 1-0,
Go
baby.
Wolves.
Go Wolves. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the show. Please send us a comment. Let us know what you think of the Wolves season coming up. We'll catch you next time after the next game
coming.
when we beat Utah.